All right, so here we are, another episode of Whatever Happened to the Game. Here I am, Adrian Fahrenheit Tepes, and joining me is Albeleo. Welcome to the game. So today we're going to be having our last, for a while anyways, our last one that's recommended games that won't have a main focus. So we're going back and then starting with the next one to a general series or franchise of games as a focus. So we'll talk more about that near the end. So how are you doing, Albeleo?
Doing good, buddy. Been pretty busy, but doing good.
So once again, we recommend Steam here. Many of the games that we recommend here have a version on Steam. And there'll be some news because obviously they're picking up on sales now that it's the end of summer. I mean, technically the end is September 21st or 22nd, but equinox. But apparently retail works well when you're starting to go back to school for some reason.
Yeah, more people want to stay inside.
Yeah, I mean, right now in Pennsylvania, it's perfect weather. It's not summer heat anymore. It's like, it's 75. That's not bad. And I really mean that's not bad.
It's pretty good.
It is. It is. So yes, Steam, it's great. It really works on keeping old games playable when your hardware gets updated and you have a new computer. You'll still have your same Steam account running. It's been pretty reliable to me, and I believe Albeleo can say the same as well.
Oh yeah. That pretty sickening amount of hours in Steam, honestly.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I'm just not getting any new games because I just want to complete what I have.
Yeah, it was a recent challenge to myself as well to go through and complete everything that I bought years and years ago but never touched.
Right. I mean, the free giveaways make it more difficult for me because I didn't really pay to get them. Like they had Destiny as a giveaway a long time ago, and I haven't bothered trying it yet. All I know is it's a fantasy and space game from the makers of Halo, or Bungie anyways, and I haven't quite gotten to it, but I eventually figured, I got it for free, I might as well try it.
Mm-hmm.
So these are our recent videos before this. This is Whatever Happened to Castlevania. There's going to be another one of our sets of episodes from our podcast that will be coming on tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's more like afternoon if you're west of my location in Philadelphia. But yeah, so this one is a recent one of mine. It's actually a collection of our episodes that premiered at night. So for those who are really morning birds like we are. And this is your review of the remake for The Crow.
Mm-hmm. What a cringe fest that turned out to be.
Yeah, and the odd thing is I don't understand why they actually remade the original story, because The Crow is a comic book series. There's other characters besides Eric that became The Crow. I mean, but then again,
yeah, but Eric is the one that's known.
Right. It's a catch-22. I mean, some series get away with going various places, like the X-Files, just because it's it focuses on unsolved cases from the FBI, which can be all over the USA. So the X-Files kind of gets away with that to an extent. I mean, you do have the same core characters, but it goes off the main overarching alien plot to do various monsters of the week in the X-Files.
Yeah.
I don't like the newer ones because of what they try to say, what is and is not canon from the previous series. But the original X-Files gets away with going off the beaten path, so to speak, because of how it's set up.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so it's a catch-22 when you have a franchise. Is how far can you go? But then again, how are you going to keep it recognizable to a general audience? So this is we wanted to mention Breath of Fire 2, a distant sequel to the first one.
Yes. So taking place in the same universe, some however many centuries later, you get Breath of Fire 2. And basically there's Ryu, the jacked as hell dude in the front there with the sword. You start out as the son of a pastor, and then a demon attacks your village, and when you wake up the next day, for some reason, no one remembers you or your sister. Nobody remembers anybody. And then you and Bo, the dog behind you, set out on an adventure. You eventually
so basically it's a new guy who just happens to be called Ryu, and instead of a wolf named Bo, you have a dog named Bo.
Yeah, basically. There's a bunch of reoccurring characters, very, very anime, I suppose, for
Reincarnations.
Yeah, basically, because you can barely see her on the cover art there, but there's a purple wing on the left side.
Right.
That's because there's also another Nina, because her and Ryu are like the destined reincarnations for the whole series. You guys become Ryu and Bo become rangers. They set forth on an adventure, and it turns out that they have to deal with probably one of the deeper stories in all of JRPGs of the time, because you have to deal with basically the devil created a corrupt church to empower himself, which is wild considering this came out in the 90s.
That sounds like a plot out of a C.S. Lewis novel.
Right? It's so underrated. I know it's not as like well loved as FF6 or Chrono Trigger, but man, this game holds such a special place in my heart. It's so good.
What are some ways you felt that they added to or improved upon the previous Breath of Fire?
Well, the very first thing is animation and art style. The characters in Breath of Fire 1, enemies, and whether it be NPCs or main characters, whatever, all of them had a very sort of rounded, cutesy sort of art style.
Right. It looked like they had big heads in the first one, but I can forgive that, given that.
Oh yeah.
That Final Fantasy 5 and 6 had big heads as well, but
yeah. Well, all the characters are basically proportioned here, as I'm sure you got the shorts for the slides for a little bit later. The sprite design is top notch. It's like it like if FF6 is like the chibi sort of art style with the really big fucking heads, and then you get to like Albeleo and Ogre Battle, which looks pretty good for its time. I still think Ryu and all the other gang from BF2 absolutely look fantastic in comparison.
And by the way, hello, Shadow Master.
Hey, Shadow, how you doing, buddy? And so they also added in a bunch of other things. They simplified a lot of other systems. For example, they expanded on the hunting with Bo. Instead of overworld hunting with animals that just kind of spawn, so you have a chance to end up in a battle, which would just take you out of the hunting. You actually walk up to a bush, and then it teleports you to a room, and in that room you get to hunt. And you're either really good at killing things or you're not good at killing things. You're most likely the latter. None of us are the former. So they've expanded on a bunch of the previous systems. They've added a few extra systems, like there's a fusion mechanic for all of the characters except for Ryu. The combat is better because now the formations actually matter a bit more. I know they did
So
before.
front row, back
matter.
row matters a little bit more in the sequel.
Yeah, so you actually have different formations, and depending on the character placement in the formation, adjusts their offense and defense. So if there's a normal one, which is like a trapezoid, for example. It's like just basically a square form, and then you have defense where you have one character up front, three characters in the back, and the guy up front has higher defense because of the position in that.
Right, because the other ones he's harder to reach. Right. Okay.
Yeah, basically. So they like I said, they adjusted and improved on a number of the mechanics, and made the game overall much better. Also, the music. I know a number of the themes came back, but man, some of these songs are just bangers.
Right. So here's a frame, but we're going to get into the actual game footage pretty soon. As I can see, there's the new bow or bow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still a bow.
Good old Japanese puns.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the artwork there, as you can see, is pretty damn good for the SNES era. The everybody's everybody's got simple health bars. All their relevant stats are right there, although level's kind of irrelevant. It's basically just a really good feast for the eyes. Not to mention, they also added in proper auto battle if you just want to be able to do your homework while also leveling your characters.
Right. Yeah. That would be useful. But yeah. Although if I live stream that way, that would be a little inconvenient since I wouldn't respond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right, and I've noticed too the terrain in this map is a bit more detailed than what you saw in the first Breath of Fire.
Oh yeah. The artwork is the most immediate and probably the biggest change between this and the former game. You fight not just in the fields, not just in the cliffs. You can fight in dungeons underwater, and at one point you have to go inside of an obese queen, and you have to fight in her body to rid her of demons that are making her fat. There is a hysterical amount of parallel to today's or parables to today's world, and I feel like this game would definitely not be able to be sold today without a lot of backlash.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't feel a lot of people understand the kind of sarcasm in the 90s.
Oh God, no, yeah.
A lot of stuff that you can tell it's from the 90s because a lot of the insults there just go by and nobody flips a bird in response. I mean, I don't consider people being called retard in a 90s movie. You can tell, like, no one cares. No one seems to mind that they're called retard in a 90s movie. That's how you can tell.
I remember there's that show or movie, I can't remember which one, but it's like this guy is like this adult man is like, he's like in the body of a kid, and he's like, I'm retarded, and then he opens up the mirror, and it's just him.
For a second, I thought you were referring to Big, starring Tom Hanks, but yeah.
No, not that one. There's I can't remember. It's like
I guess Tom Hanks. Actually, Big was the late '80s, but it's a funny earlier movie with Tom Hanks that I recommend.
Oh, I think it's got the guy from Star Trek Enterprise. I think it's the captain from Star Trek Enterprise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just can't remember what the show is called, or the show or movie. I don't remember which one it is, but
right.
But yeah, it's something like that.
All right. So yeah. So we're going to go into taking a look at what this looks like, and this should be a lot more higher quality now because I have paid a little bit with the StreamYard to just have the whole video uploaded and played straight from StreamYard itself. So it should be a lot easier than how we used to do this. So I'm sorry that I didn't know how to do this earlier, but
you're good. Everybody learns. Good old classic Capcom.
Yep. So I like the new music already with how it starts at the title screen. It's obviously more complex than the original MIDI from Breath of Fire 1.
Oh yeah. Everything, because it's like the early Super Nintendo games didn't quite figure out what they could do, but the Super Nintendo had a better much better sound card than
the NES by
Sega.
far.
Well, yeah, but it also had a better sound card than the Sega, which is why like everybody listens to Sega music or the SNES music over the Sega.
Right. I mean, I noticed that the Sega music doesn't have much of a wide range in the notes, and as wide of a range in the notes of what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah. Musically, it's wild how orchestral everything sounds. But you look at something like what Nobuo Uematsu did with Final Fantasy VI. It's like Dancing Mad is amazing, and
right. And there are some games from Sega that I like, such as Lightning Force, which I'll mention later when we aren't on the focusing on the franchise of Alien Halo.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good. How the eye opened up for a minute. I'm presuming the eye is the demon or something.
Yeah, basically.
That was pretty good. It was a little slow, but it was pretty good.
And then here's your dad, and he's like, no, your sister ran away. Quick, son, go do something for me.
They're using the black and white from the past cliche.
I've definitely become much more appreciative of black and white. You can get some really good cinematography out of it. It's like what they did with Godzilla -1. It's like they re-released it in black and white, and chef's kiss. It's fantastic.
They did. Oh, to make it look like it was 1954.
Yeah. It actually kind of hides some of the CGI, like the motion I mentioned, the odd motion that I mentioned in the review I did a while ago, because some of the characters, like, sometimes it looks just a little too cartoony. No, they crank down the monochrome on it, and it just looks great.
Right. Speaking of which, we ought to do a separate podcast about films later.
Yeah, at some point that would be great.
Because I do think that films like The Shadow, even though it was old, like early CGI, they did it as a texture over an actual object to make it less uncanny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the village, the statues, everything just looks much better than it did in the previous game.
Yeah, it does show.
Everybody here still, because that's the dragon statue. That's where you go to save, and eventually he just kind of becomes he basically just becomes a garden feature, because like nobody ever goes to the dragon god anymore.
Oh, well, I guess that's in a way that sounds like a parallel between old Norse religion and how when you got into later medieval, the Christianity took over. I just say Christianity because it wasn't the East and West split until later.
Yes, much later. And the and I like that it's
Celtic, Celtic, right? Not just Norse.
Well, yeah, it's all very pagan, which is fine considering what it is coming out of the medieval era. And again, you got the church here, which looks great. They kept it simple without like directly trashing in any way, shape, or form. And that's why I find it really interesting that this game, what year, like 93, 94, whichever year this came out, like it just absolutely took into a whole new direction, which I find really odd that the Japanese always end up having a story where it's like we have to kill God. And it's like, but why is there always a god that has to die? It's just funny that's like how their stories end up usually going.
Yeah, Chaos. That's because the Sega Genesis, like I said earlier, it played on a more narrow range of notes than what the SNES did. But yeah, I like the Sonic. The Sonic games were the main thing for Sega Genesis when it came to me.
Yeah, I don't know if what I just recently happened to discover was on the original Sega or not. But there are some bangers that definitely come out on Sega. There's I don't know if anyone else here knows Sonic, or I don't really know Sonic. My lady does. And there's this level in one of the games, like Sonic Boom or whatever, and you have to outrun this fire in this factory, and the music for you trying to escape this explosion it's actually kind of exhilarating. I was like, holy crap, this is cool.
I mean, the lower range of notes is worse when you go into the Sega Genesis horror kind of games. That's when they try to make it sound like metal, but they don't quite do a great job of sounding like heavy metal music.
Yeah, like what was the game, Slaughterhouse?
Yes, that's one of them.
Yeah, like where you're walking around as like totally not wink Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes on the series. I mean, Castlevania was meant to be inspired by the Dracula movie starring Christopher Lee, and in those ones, Christian iconography in those Dracula movies is a big part of them.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I didn't mean it as like a derogatory thing, like they just hate gods. No, because like a great many Japanese are Christian. Hell, the most number of Christians in the world is in China. So it's not like there's a hate for it. There's a lot more respect and an appreciation of that respect coming from the Japanese, which is I think that's basically why Japan still dominates when it comes to media entertainment.
Right, the various religions, and it's also true that other religions don't have their greatest concentrations in their place where they originated. Even Islam is mostly in the Pacific Islands, actually.
Yep.
Malaysia,
Indonesia,
Malaysia, yeah.
Yeah. And as for the most advanced card for any 16-bit processing at the time, no, the only thing the Super Nintendo did not have over the Sega was the memory. That's it. Everything else was actually superior. It had a wider array of colors to choose from. It had the better sound card. It had a better I don't think it was the processor. There was something else about it that it had that was
the Sega
better.
Genesis could be upgraded with the 32-bit accessory.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, there was a lot though. And here's the demon, and now everything's kind of screwy because you're like, there's no music.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, all the black and white's gone, and now the world is in. Now we have fast forwarded to the time of Technicolor.
Right. I mean, I would say that for a lot of these media, whether it's Studio Ghibli films, the people like Hayao Miyazaki in Studio Ghibli, he really tries to understand what he's making a story about, and he does a very good job of it.
Yeah, and I wasn't inferring that you did, Shadow. It was just I got what you meant, buddy. But yeah, so you get to walk around this village, and everyone's like, "No, who are you? Go away, you're weird." And then now you have Saint Eva, which is always such a goofy name.
Right.
But
Wait,
yeah,
your
so
father was never there? What's going on?
yeah, basically. So like he even Ganner ends up kind of disappearing. So when you get to the church, everything's like, what's going on here? Also, the little dragon icon, which is another, it's not as expanded upon as it could be, but the dragon icon on the right, the dragon's tier, it actually shows the reputation somebody has with you. Because way back in the SNES era, you had games that actually dealt with reputation in, I would say, arguably better fashion than even games like Skyrim did.
Yeah. You had, I mean, there was, well, Shadowrun, but you don't confuse it because the Sega Genesis Shadowrun and the SNES one are different games, different stories altogether.
Yeah. And I get that, you know, certain games like Breath of Fire, it's kind of like a subtle secondary thing, and with Ogre Battle itself, it's much more of the focus. But even with games nowadays, it does kind of bug me a bit, because it's like, why on earth aren't we able to get, you know, better systems than what these games made way back in the 90s half the time.
Right. I mean, I think the trick here is not the graphics so much as it is the mechanics that they wrote and coded underneath the graphics.
Mm-hmm.
And hello, Timmy. How are you doing?
Thanks for joining.
So yeah, this one's kind of interesting because you get Bo like right at the beginning.
Yeah, and you can't quite do anything else, but you know, you end up leaving, and that's when things finally start to that's when the real hook hits you, because this is already like sort of off-putting, because you're a kid in an RPG world and no one remembers you, and you're like, huh, weird, this is interesting. But then you move on, and then you get to this point, and this is the real hook of the game, and you're just like, huh.
Yeah, I mean, Elder Scrolls in the early days, Shadow, it had a pretty good way. Like, if you aren't friendly back in, say, Morrowind or Daggerfall to a certain faction, you're an enemy to others of that faction. It also went to with a way, almost sounds like Castlevania here, but yeah, yeah. We might go back to something in terms of Castlevania, Timmy, like when we have things that are a little bit more. Eventually we're going to, but the hype right now is on Alien because there's an Alien movie called Alien Romulus released. So we're going to talk about the Alien games and Halo for a little bit. But then we could go back to Castlevania eventually.
Mm-hmm. I'm really hoping season 2 of Nocturne comes out, because I would love to tear that apart too.
Right. Wasn't it last year? It was our Halloween last year that it came out?
Yeah, because that's when you found me, I think.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, that's right. So,
Yeah,
I will be playing Curse of Darkness later today in the afternoon.
Cool.
So this is, yeah. So our first boss in the cave.
Yeah, this is Barubari. He is like one of the main demons in the game. Oh, I have never seen Ryu dodge that attack.
Well, he did, the second time was a charm.
Yeah.
But no, in a little bit, we're going to be moving on to another one. It's a little bit more complicated. So this is about
Yeah, so this just go. So after you get to that point and you see the demon Beruberi, you get this cool little text crawl that properly introduces you to the game, because it's this whole situation basically just played out like a bad nightmare, where it basically tells you you actually just got killed by the demon, but it gave you the opportunity to live almost.
See you later, Timmy.
All right. Thanks for stopping by, Timmy. Have a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And so it tells you about how like the world basically exists. More monsters start appearing because of how bad things were getting. You know, usual stuff like the crystals light and faded kind of thing, and more monsters appeared. And yeah, it starts to get into how the setup for everything, and yeah, and then eventually climaxes with the music, which is fantastic.
So now, after this, you apparently have grown up.
Correct. You and Bo will be. It'll fast forward. I don't know, 8-10 years, whatever it is, and Ryu and Bo will be adults. And you guys are going to be rangers, and from there you begin your adventure. You start off simple because you have to find a pet. You have to find a pet that's being that has been lost somewhere, and it ties into Windian royalty.
And that seems like one of the better ways. They have a in-game intro and pre-credit. So now the game is like Final Fantasy VI, for instance, had the opening credit sequence during the beginning play part of the game. But
yeah,
I think this one's a little better. 10 years later, okay.
Yeah, so you get into this. 10 years later, here you are checking things out, and then the adventure begins. Yeah, so this is the open world environment. Still looks pretty good. You get into combat, as per usual. Everyone has their own unique animations, which is nice. Special attacks are just criticals.
And
early area is really easy.
They can't leave slime out of a Breath of Fire game either.
No. Just like Dragon Warrior, it eventually became a staple for RPGs.
Hi, Alex. How are you doing?
Hey, Alexander.
So we're almost the second one we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, so this is the hunting, and Bo has a crossbow, and so he can attack at range. A later character named Kat, she can whack at melee range. But you go into these little areas. It separates you from the world, so you don't actually lose out on being able to necessarily hunt. And then it rinses and repeats like this. The roast you get is really good for getting a strong early game eco going, and it also heals you completely. All the different characters have different things that they can do.
Does Ryu still fish?
Yeah, Ryu still fishes, and if you are good at fishing in this game, then you are better than most marlin fishers, because the fishing in this game is brutal. It's so hard to actually fish in this game. I think they simplify it, or not simplified. I think they adjusted the numbers in the remake, because this game was the re-release on I think it was the DS.
Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, Advance. Thank you.
All right, so this is just about the end. But they're sitting here. How they've had some improvements from Breath of Fire 1 to Breath of Fire 2. Now we're going to 1, which, while Mad Max 2015 is almost 10 years old. It was released late 2015 by Warner Brothers Games, but it was a long process in terms of making a good Mad Max game. It goes way back to 1990 on the NES. But this one is in 2015, same year as they released Fury Road as a film. And it more or less has a story which may or may not be canon to what Miller wanted to do in Fury Road and Beyond, because I thought, Scabrous Scrotus, and who on earth names their kid that ever? I guess
As somebody who hates their kid.
yeah. I wish, it'd be cool if they could have done something to use the likeness of Mel Gibson in this game. Mel Gibson himself decided not to do Mad Max because it was originally meant to be 2001 due to 9/11, and the fact that the place in Australia where they filmed Mad Max 2 it no longer was a desert. It had grown into a forest over the years. So what was meant to be 2001 ended up being 2015, and Mel Gibson felt, I'm too old for this. Someone else can do it. So that's why they got Tom Hardy for 2015.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But Alex, I wish they used the likeness of Mel Gibson somehow. There have been some games like From Russia with Love where they actually got Sean Connery to voice James Bond again for that game, even though that game was in 2005 during the in-between phase of James Bond, but they got Sean Connery's voice and likeness in a 2005 game for Xbox and PlayStation. But no, this starts out, but it goes back to a not so well made Mad Max, partially due to technical limitations on the NES, and partially due to the fact that it had a very rushed schedule to get it released. Less than 2 years with Primitive by Mindscape, and they were also working on making the Terminator video game for NES at the time, and a few others at the same time. So trying to multitask this at the game studio gave us a product that was at the time, 1989, 1990, at best okay.
Huh. Interesting. I didn't know there was a Mad Max game on the NES.
Oh. I found out because I studied about it, because I wanted to know a little bit more than just the 2015 game and what led up to it.
Sure.
So this game right here, it's repeating the words for the most part from Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, and it's a mix. It's somewhat of a mix-up between what you got in Mad Max 2 and Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome. Yeah, it's crusty. Yeah, it is. But yeah, this game is mostly you just drive around in cars, you go find garages to steal parts from, and that's it.
Okay. This is interesting. So, they're using tires as walls.
Yeah.
So I think I see what you mean by the design for Terminator, because it looks like it drives the same way as the Judgment Day.
Yeah, the studio that was making Mindscape was making this and Terminator as a video game, but and it was quite a rush to get it done.
Okay.
But yeah, and here you're going into a garage and stealing a cans of gas because you don't want your car to run out of gas, and stealing keys.
Oh, all right. He just dissolved.
Yeah. Well, he also got the shotgun in there too. So.
Okay.
But yeah, there's basically only one boss battle at the end, where you fight Humongous from Road Warrior.
He's the guy with that big
hockey
shredder
mask.
face mask, right? Yeah.
He's got the hockey mask on, yeah, and he's just saying, "Give us the gasoline." The whole compound.
Huh. Okay.
And my disappointment with watching Road Warrior, because I watched the trailer on YouTube, but then when I actually heard the voice in the movie, it's like, really? It has a deeper voice in the trailer. But yeah, there's Humongous. You got your
Did
shotgun.
Okay. Did you fast forward, or is
Yeah, I
it
fast
actually...
forwarded.
Okay,
But
okay.
this
I was gonna
game-
say, there's no way this game's 2 minutes long.
No, it's half an hour to finish it, but I also need some time for the newer one. But as you can see, this is it.
Sure.
There's a lot more combat when you get to the 2015 game, but obviously they had better tech that has been tried and tested by that point.
I love his noise.
Yeah.
Sounds like oh man, what was that? What was that? That was it's if you ever get a chance, because the sound effects here reminded me, if you ever get a chance to watch the original Pokemon series, look up clips of the French dub, because I don't know what they thought. I suppose French is the answer, but they the voice actress for Starmie is, you know, because like Misty's like, yeah, go Starmie, and then Starmie comes out of the ball, and Starmie's like, what
Right.
the hell?
This goes to the later one, but unfortunately I have an emergency. But it's been a great live stream I was able to have with the rest of you. So
no problem, no problem.
Hi, Indiana Jones. I've got to unfortunately finish this early, but this will play and you can comment on it, and I'll keep the stream going. Okay.
How long do you think?
Let's see. This one goes for about 30 minutes. You can comment on it as it goes. All right.
All right. Well, take care of what you need. I'll try to entertain
in a little bit.
No problem. I'll entertain. All right. So yeah, hello, Indiana. Sorry he had to bail on us real quick, but he's got to take care of something. So all right, we've got Mad Max, which I didn't even know this game even existed until recently, until I did the review for Furiosa.
The dog has led me right so far.
Oh, glad to see that there's yet another dog in another post-apocalyptic world that becomes your ally. And it also sounds like the dog got trapped. Fantastic. Really tugs at the heartstrings, if that be the case. So how's everybody doing today? What is that? Oh, another mutant guy. Great.
It's you. Power was a light inside the air that gives birth. Start to blaze by godly plug ignite. Revolution about revolution, rejoice! Please, don't kill Chum Bucket! Please! Hey!
His name is Chum Bucket. Fantastic.
I spied you in the long lookers. They left you for the blowflies, and they snatched your ride, and now you'll be looking to snatch it back. That's what the prophecy says. You're the driver.
That's right.
And Chum Bucket is your man. I'm your man. Yeah, yes, I am. You have a vehicle that can take you to your car. I do say. That's right.
Little convenient that he's got a vehicle and everything, but all right, he's got a car, sure.
Easy. I'm a black finger. I can make it work again. And I think Dinky D, too, is going to need an overhaul.
Don't go straight.
It's very surreal seeing kids shows dubbed in different languages. It's very different that that they change a lot of the context of jokes or make completely new scenarios. Oh yeah, no, it's weird how they directed that. I don't know why they did it. But yeah, the direction for that Starmie actor, it's one of the funniest, and I don't know why. I don't know why they did it.
Where do I find wire?
Up that path.
Oh no, I see him, Shadow. I gotcha.
You must be running on fumes.
I got you, buddy. Don't worry. I suppose I should have caught that right away when it came up with Nig, and I was like, uh-oh.
Sure It's eating maggot growth.
Oh, dogs think I'm bad.
But yeah, so anyway, that if you ever get a chance, that Starmie just makes me laugh because it's just like that. What's there was like a Miss Universe contest or whatever, and everyone's coming up and they're saying all their different countries of origin. It's like America, Britain, and all this other stuff, and then the girl from France is like France, and I'm just like, why is France such a joke? But it is what it is, I suppose. Well, I guess Chum Bucket's been turned into chum now. I just hope he didn't take the dog with him. Oh, it's got a pretty not Mortal Kombat. It's got a pretty Batman-styled combat to it. I do like that it's not quite as, flippity-floopity as the Arkham series, but it's nice to see that at least you got basic boxing skills. This game is a much better improvement. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not as it's not quite as sharp as that previous music was for the NES title.
Another one. Fun's not over yet, boys.
Strike, block. Okay. Yeah. Who needs to block when you have a gun? Oh yeah, no, it is definitely the Arkham combat. The way it catches, the way it blocks, the way you get to react to others. Which is not bad. I like the Arkham combat style. It's pretty good. It even ends the same way. Look at that. These Acolyte dudes were always so goofy. I suppose it's probably because I just don't really have a great deal of knowledge about the Mad Max world. Alright, which way this guy going? Didn't he have to go and find Chum Bucket? Didn't Chum Bucket just get tossed off the, Didn't he just get tossed off the cliff?
Well, should be enough.
Did he just rip the ignition coil out? It plays like Batman. Yeah, no, exactly. Which I think is fine. I would hope that there's a bit of a stealth mechanic. Not that it's particularly warranted in this game, since everything's just kind of beige. But it is what it is. A lot more scrap metal in the areas, though. Oh, no. I'm sorry. He had to get a wire for Chum. Gotcha.
Not yet. You not ready.
What?
Wait.
Oh, okay. I guess we're just gonna start hallucinating in the desert now. That can't be healthy.
Here, I heard the bloody sounds of a smackdown. You're not a legion, are you? Tell me you're not. Huh? Praise me! Praise me!
Oh, you know, just a good old video freezing. Gotta love it. I'm sure at some point, eventually, we will eventually buffer back into where it's supposed to be, but it's out of my control. The color scheme is better than GTA 4's. Beige is way better than muted gray. Well, it's it's definitely got that. It's definitely got that that issue of color, just like a lot of games from that early. I suppose the late aughts is probably the best time. So like 09, 08, when everybody decided to make everything brown. You know, either really like muted gray or it had to be brown. And it was either brown because it was brown castles, like it was like you were playing Quake again, you know, like brown castles with brown ground, with brown water back against brown skies. And then you had I think it was like Resistance 3 and a bunch of other games, I suppose, but I don't know, maybe. It's definitely not what was it? Vice City? I think it was GTA Vice City. It was just like hysterically flat colored and dulled over. Drove me nuts. Well, the buffer almost got there. I'm glad to see that we have a car. I'm glad to hear we have a car. I just hate that I can't see the car. Brown bricks? Yeah, everything. I don't know why, like, I get the idea of wanting to be realistic because it's so much easier to design something that exists, but when you don't have the imagination or even the willingness to make something more bright, more colorful, man, does it really take stuff away. It's something that's always sort of bugged me about games like rather bugged me about the discussion around games like Metroid, because you'll have a lot of people that actually think that old games like Metroid Prime don't hold up because it doesn't look good, and it's like, how? Like, how does it like look bad? It's so vibrant, it's so colorful, it's so good. The prodigal son returns.
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, look, there. Scrotus is their king. He's a big boss man from the past, you see. Scrotus always keeps the best parts for himself. Yeah, but he's not here now. You see, I don't see the land.
I'm getting my car back.
Please. I have an idea. It's better for you, and it's better for me. Just listen. Look,
yeah, so we had a little incident with somebody who decided to have fun in the chat, and otherwise we've been watching a flat screen, which has been entertaining.
How tough, how fast?
Faster than fear, tougher than an iguana's gonads. Come with me. We mustn't be seen. Huh? I'll take you to the tabernacle, and when you see what I'm going to show you, you'll be shouting holy all day long.
This is like listening to this radio show on my way out to Washington State years ago. There was this really funny, like, because my buddy and I at the time, we were driving through Montana, and there was no radio shows whatsoever. There was nothing to do, right? Everything just looked like, you know, Montana. And now, and then at some point, this old radio drama about an Indian popped up on the channel, popped up on the scan, and we just listened to it And it's basically the same exact thing as what's going on here.
Not sure. No, but we are at the bottom. It doesn't get any lower.
Now every game has to either have candy pop colors or pastel pride palettes. Yeah. Like, I don't mind vibrant colors. Vibrant colors are great, you know, but it becomes an issue when everything goes so, like, when it becomes the standard that everyone applies to, and they just don't know how to do the coloring right. Drives me nuts.
When you're ready, Saint, my holy hideout awaits. Come, behold.
Oh, we're praise be. Praise be. We finally get to see stuff.
All right. Yeah, this is the garage inside a shipwreck.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't imagine this side character is going to last all that long in this world.
No. Like, okay, Chumbucket, like, I mean, that's a SpongeBob name, but...
Oh, yeah.
Hallucination become truth. The angel made steel. By the fire that moves the piston, by the tranny on all high, by the cam and the U-joint blessed be, there she lies.
So I've gotten to see a pretty good amount of the combat. Unfortunately, none of the driving.
Well, I can skip to the driving. This is the car he has for you, because your other car's stolen.
Mm-hmm.
No. She's knowledge from the numinous, divinely inspired.
Interesting how cold it is in this room. Oh, and now it's not. What the hell?
So, yeah, you need to break a gate, so you put up a can of gasoline next to it and light it up.
Oh, cool. So, I guess in the Mad Max universe, jet fuel does melt steel beams.
Yeah. Well, even if you don't melt it, you can weaken it by it being hot. So it can break from the pressure on it.
Good old video game logic.
Yeah.
Let's drive right over those spikes that could definitely destroy any of our tires.
Yeah. Dinosaur bone or whale bones. Yeah.
I would hope they were whale bones, unless this is Fallout and they have another giant monster walking around that I don't know about.
Well, they do have geckos with more than one head in it, but they're small. Then you can just eat them raw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the combat is similar to Batman Arkham games. I don't know. Have you commented on that part already?
Yep. Yeah, I've been pretty good up until all of it up to including Shadow's latest comment. What? Oh, it's a trap. Okay. For a second there, I thought it was like an actual creature. Yeah, I would agree. Unless you're playing, like, Crisis.
All right. This is just getting parts for the car. You're going to the car graveyard. That's it.
Yeah, talk about a dark map, too.
Yeah, so like the NES one, you do have people, obviously projectiles coming at your car, but you have to gradually get better in terms of your car combat. Now, you don't want to run out of gas or have your car take too much damage or else it's game over for you. So I'm using the double-barrel shotgun to shoot somebody's tires here.
Okay.
If I can, that is. And obviously I'm avoiding these projectiles if I can, too. Alright. There it is. I got him.
Okay. I do appreciate the free aim that the game gives you there. Can you spin out the tires here? Because I hear the throttle just roaring, but I see them like going nowhere at times.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a realistic aspect of this. You said your car might have issues running on the terrain, but that's just because your general car has been damaged too much.
Gotcha. Yeah. Might not necessarily be the most realistic aspect as he goes flying through the air and the car doesn't destroy itself.
The suspension, yeah, that would survive everything.
Yeah. Yeah, a suspension kit made out of titanium.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of the game is side quests where you want to, destroy encampments, which involves a combination of both pulling down the gate with the tow cable. You get a car towing cable at this point.
Okay.
And it's a little annoying, but you need to get jumped to get out of the back seat, so you can get in the back seat to aim a sniper rifle. Because the rifle's attached to the car for whatever reason, but I think it kind of balances it out, so you aren't totally independent. But it's just awkward they did that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So.
Well, interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely a good step or two above that NES title.
Yeah. A long time in the making. So, last little bit of game news before we finish this. September 1st through September 9th, Steam has Space games on sale. No Man's Sky, Stellaris, Warhammer 40k games, The Outer Worlds, and more. The current free giveaway game on Steam is Skeletorn: The Prey. It's a side-scrolling game similar to Demon's Crest or Metroidvanias. GOG.com has Back to School, so now they have a re-release for Resident Evil 1 through 3. Heroes of Might and Magic, Alien Isolation, for Warhammer 40k games, and more. Some games have as much as a 75% discount. So very cheap compared to what you get if they weren't on sale.
Cool. And they're the originals too, which are nice.
Yes. So right now, what's coming up next is Whatever Happened to the Alien games. It's going to be a new kind of series of episodes committed to a franchise, like what we did with Castlevania. So that should be fun. After Alien, it's Halo, and it's back to recommending various games. So hello, everyone. Sorry about some of the mishaps here. I hope we all have a wonderful day.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, everybody.
All right. Ta-ta.
Later.